Alright, so we just created this vector art, and what we need to do is take all this and move it right over here on our castle. So we've got it right here, we've got the two little lions down here, and I know they don't look like much compared to what we started out with, but we went ahead and created all that vector art so that you could have an introduction into Photoshop vector art. Okay, but we'll take this one over here and we'll hide this because we don't need that one, and we'll open this one up because this is where it's going, and we'll just do a simple copy paste from one to the other. We don't want the white background, so we'll turn that off, and I will select all by hitting Control A so you can see the dancing ants around everything, and then I will copy all visible, which is not the same as copy. See, there's a copy and then a copy merged. Copy merged also means copy all visible, but you have to be on a layer, you have to have a layer selected that is visible. So Control Shift C for copy all visible, and then simply find a layer in which to put it, or a place to have it, and then Control V, and so now we can start sizing. Control T, and then mouse wheel up to zoom out, and then Alt and Shift. One of the reasons I held down Alt this time is that these bars themselves were off the image. They were out here somewhere, and I wanted to bring them in, so I zoomed down to this pivot point, and it brought both bars. Okay, so when you're doing this, you can size this to however you like. Give this a little try and see if I can zoom this in just a little bit more. Alright, I'd say that works. Go ahead and hit enter. And I'll take this object and make it its own layer mask. So control select that layer and then make it its own layer mask. And now that I've got this layer mask, I'll just come in here real quick, get out the old brush tool, and in this area right in here, so I've got some of these words that are actually off the unbroken stone. So I'm just deleting that now, or not deleting it, but I'm hiding it using the vector mask. Oh, I'm sorry, not the vector mask, the layer mask. With all those tongue twisters, I wonder if I can walk and chew gum at the same time. Alright, so got this, got that. Excellent. We've now got that in place, but it sticks out a little bit. Oh, excuse me. It sticks out, well, terribly, actually. It looks like toon shading on an otherwise, rather realistic texture or image. And what we're going to do now is integrate this mural into the background. So when I'm looking at paint, especially on cracks and crevices, sometimes what happens is that the paint doesn't actually get inside those cracks and crevices. Let me enlarge this here real quick. Get us a nice zoomy zoom on this. And the way we can set that up, I'm going to move this out here for right now. We can set that up, to not draw in those cracks and crevices by using the blend if for that layer. So take this, I'll move this down so you can watch what happens. And I'll just change this underlying layer value in the blend if. Now all of a sudden what we start to see is that in all these little areas it's now not drawing any of that paint. And if we pull it off the white end too, off the bright spots, get a little bit of that going on. So I'll pull this down here. Now it looks kind of poopy, not to worry. So for those of you watching, these are my blend if values thus far. And I'll change the blending mode to either overlay or soft light. The reason I like to use overlay or soft light for these is overlay, so this is overlay right now, and if I turn up this white point just a little bit, have a look in this area right here. So right now I'm in overlay, and this is what happens when I switch to normal. Normal completely disrespects the underlying texture, which sometimes work to our advantage, but not right now. We want it to look like this is actually painted onto the surface. So this is multiply, and it's might be a little bit too dark, but we'll keep this around. This part, it's doing this. It's kind of like a trial and error. There's a set process I have to get to this point, and then once I'm here, I create usually 2 or 3 layers, maybe 4 or 5, and then just turn them on and off and mess around with them and see what I get. So this is kind of dark, but I think there's something to this, so I'll keep this, and I'll just duplicate this out and open up the blending mode or the layer options for this one. And instead of multiply, I'll change this to overlay. I'll change these low and high values a little bit. Maybe I'll turn this one all the way up. I'll turn up the fill opacity. Alright. So I'm about right there. And then maybe I'll do one more and this time I'll use soft light instead of overlay or multiply. Alright, so if I zoom out, hitting Control 0 to show all, and then hide all these layers. Alright, show them again. And if I just start playing around with layer visibility, go ahead and name these also real quick. So we'll call this Mural Multiply, and this one is Mural Overlay, and this one is Mural Soft Light. So I'll remove the multiply and see what I get. So that is pretty worn out. Time has really taken that one down. Okay, I'll remove the overlay. So that one looks like the colors have bled. And I'll remove the soft light. So the soft light just added a little bit of brightness to it. I'm sure if I turned it up more, it'd be even more drastic. So this is just the multiply layer. This is just the overlay layer. This is just the soft light layer. That's just barely there. And this is what they are all together. And one other thing that I think really works when doing this is, so now that we've got our layers set up, we've got them blended rather successfully, we've got the multiply and the overlay and the soft light, there's always that other level of just painting something out. So we'll get the brush and just start painting a few things away. Not much, just little hints here and there. So that one's not going to do a whole lot. Alright. Now that is one well-worn mural. So we'll take all these layers, link them together, make it a layer set, call it mural. Now we'll just add these two lines right down here at the bottom. And this time I'll just turn off the lower text and shield banner, layer sets, and Control-Shift-C once more. Hide this, and Control-V. Scrolling down to zoom in, spacebar to get the hand. Now I'm going to move this line here on the left. I'm going to line him up on the left. And that way, as I scale down with the aspect ratio constrained, as soon as I get the line on the left to fit in between the arch and the door, I know that I'll get the line on the right to do that as well. And I would just draw a selection around this line, and I won't cut him out of this layer and paste him into a new one, but once he's selected, I'll just hit the V for the move tool, and that's the move tool right there, and holding down shift to make sure that he slides only along the horizontal. I'll move him right over here, and you can see what happens to the selection around him is that the selection conforms only to him and nothing else. So I will Control D to remove the selection, and I'll set these layers up much like I have these down here. So I'll come down here, set this to multiply, turn down the opacity, duplicate this. This one will be the overlay. And I'll turn this black point down. You can see that it shows up especially right down in there. But the strong blue will come out on part of the leg, but not all of it. And I'll keep this. I'll bring down this white point because we start getting that mottled look between the overlay layer and the multiply beneath it. And then one more for soft light. So this is a full soft light and this is no soft light. And these guys are so small that it looks like this soft light layer, I'll just keep it right here at 40%. They're not doing too much, this soft light layer. Okay, I'll take all these lines, and then I'll take these two, the lines and the mural, make this a new layer set right here, and we'll just call this paint. Okay, we got that. So I'll zoom out, and this is after the paint and before the paint. It's a nice charming difference. Oh, I'll add a layer mask to the lines. And just brush these dudes out just a little bit. There we go. Alright, so at this point, save your work. And before we conclude this chapter, there's one more thing that I've wanted to do, and that's add just a few little more hints of kind of valley and rift in these boards. And we'll do that over here in the darking, lighting and darking. I'll add a new layer, solid color. We'll make this a very dark gray. And it's a little bit hard to work like this. So obviously, we'll just fill with the foreground color, which is Alt Backspace. And what we're going to do is we're going to come right in this area, and having selected like this part right here, let me try that again. I'm going to hold down Alt to take away just this little smidgen of a line right here. So now I'm going to use my gradient tool to start adding these dark values back in. So that's very dark. Set the fill to about middle, maybe change this to multiply. And what I have selected, the kind of gradient that I have set up for this, is what you'll notice. Go ahead and make a new image for you guys real quick. Is this layer, or is this gradient that I have, isn't spread, or it's not going to enact, or it's not going to transition right from the leftmost to the rightmost. It actually happened right here. And the way I set that up, so if I open this up, this is the opacity. So it's entirely opaque and it's entirely transparent right here. And so if this is the start point for my gradient, and this is the end point for my gradient, this is the area where it's doing the transitioning. That way I get a lot of area that's dark and a little bit of area that's white, and I'm guaranteed to have all this area that's transparent, and all this area over here that's opaque. And I get this little section right here for the transitioning. That way, I'm not stuck with all this area. So if this is the start of my selection and this is the end of my selection, I'm not stuck having all of this from leftmost to rightmost selection points be the gradation. I'll just cancel that out. And you notice that my gradient is white, and it's white because I'm making gradients in a black layer mask. And I'm picking boards at my own discretion, but I'm also picking ones that kind of lend themselves to being reseated. So as you can see, adding this gradient recedes these boards and pulls this one in the middle out. So it starts adding a kind of third dimension to an otherwise flat segment. So now that I've got that set up, I created all these shadows from the top down. But boards don't always bend, or boards don't exclusively bend at the top. Sometimes you see boards that kind of recede and bow out here in the middle. And if I did that right now with my present gradient, this is what I'd get. Or let's draw it from the top up. So we get the hard edge right there. Now it looks nice up here, but this hard edge is really getting in the way. So undo that, and instead of using regular linear gradient, I'll use this reflected gradient. So now, this takes place only inside the marquee selection, and when I drew my start, and I'll do that one more time, so I got my start point and my stop point right up here, but it also came down here as well. Turn this down a little bit. This is a little bit too strong the last time I did it. There we go. Maybe I'll do one right here. Alright. So now let's have a look at what we just created. Before, after. So we've got a lot more separation in there. It's a little bit too strong. We can always turn this down a little bit. Or if it's not strong enough, we can turn it up. And of course, what you probably noticed is that as I was doing this, I was being rather indiscriminate about where I was starting and stopping my selections. So I'll just paint these areas out. Just kidding, I won't do that there. Paint along the bottom, just to clean anything up. Alright, so this is what we did. This is where we started from. And this is what we added. And that concludes this chapter.